soon enough, I won't be doing the episode because we're gonna have a standardized intro very, very soon. Promise.
Are
Name
we?
change coming up shortly, you guys. It's the Shant and Ari podcast, episode number 108. Shant, how you feeling tonight, big guy?
Feeling good. Do you think we're at that stage where we could like hire someone? Or I mean, we make negative money from the podcast, but like literally because we have to spend money to.
Let me know when you want me to start Venmoing you for like the monthly hosting. I know I'm like off by like 3 years now, but
Yeah, you're a little behind, but it's okay. I figured you do the editing and the posting, so it's kind of a trade-off.
yeah, you're welcome. A little bit of a unique podcast episode. We promised that after last week's podcast, we would talk about what men should want out of a marriage, because I don't think we quite understand why we're doing this whole thing in the first place. Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, I want a family. But like
why?
Why exactly? So yeah, I before we get into it, I guess maybe we could talk a little bit about how's your week going, bro? Tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about what's been happening at the house. Any sort of crazy baby drama that you might be having?
So yeah, we had a parent teacher conference for Leo Friday. Took a half day, went in, and they're going through questions, asking us, and it's all going good. Like, oh, Leo's good. He's fine. He's this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so I hear all the good stuff. Like, I'm like, tell me what, like, let's not sugarcoat. And Betty starts like laughing because she knows where I'm going with this. I'm like, give us the honest feedback. We're like, we could handle it. We're not like, we know he's not perfect. Tell us, give us the real shit, basically, right? And she's like, well, she's like a nice young teacher, like a younger teacher. Seems like she's newer, right? But she's very nice and really good. Leo loves her. And she's like, well, like Leo's great. He just hits, And we're like, okay, he hits. Like, how often? She's like, every day, probably, And I'm like, okay. But they're like, it's not bad. We're like, okay. Why? What does he do? And she's like, well, he doesn't like it when someone gets in his face. I was like, okay, fair.
Boy.
Like I taught him that. Like, oh, he's listening at home. Okay, good. No, and we're like, well, does he hurt? He's like, no, he doesn't. He hasn't hurt anyone. So that's why they haven't made it a big deal, right? I was like, okay, because sometimes if you hit, like they'll send him home. The schools do that shit, right? But they've been really good. And he's like, yeah, he just hits every day. It's like, I'm like, all right. Like, I'm like, does anyone else hit? They're like, no, it's just Leo. We're like,
Leo, he's violent. He's violent. Anybody in the family violent? You're like thinking back. All you can think of is your dad. He's just like this. He's like,
yeah.
Love it.
And they talked about my dad because my mom and dad pick him up sometimes. And there's nowhere in my life. It's so funny. My dad has been where they're like, oh yeah, your dad, he's kind of, like, it's always like an embarrassing moment when it's like, your dad is like calm. He goes in, he's like, he's aware of situations, your dad, right? Like just cool, calm, collective, like my dad has to make a scene everywhere he goes, bro. You know how he is. Like,
I love the shit out of him, man. And plus he has this presence about him. He's just unlike anybody else there.
He's like 5'5", thinks he's 6'7", right? Like just
I love him, man. I love his presence, man. I love his aura. Oh man.
So yeah, he makes a scene. So he's embarrassing, and then the other teacher that was there, like doing it with, she's like, "Oh, that's your dad." She's like, "Oh yeah, like next time, let me know when he's in. I want to see because I keep hearing about." I'm like, "What? Like, there's a fucking thing going on about my dad."
I keep hearing about him.
Like, why does it have? He has to be let it known when he's somewhere. Like, he can't just like me when I pick him up. I'm like, because there's other kids. I'm like, "Hey, Leo, let's go. Like, come on, let's go." He has to make a scene. My dad.
Oh shit.
So
That's great, man. That is so awesome that all the teachers know.
yeah. Oh, and I didn't even tell you. So my mom the other day, we're talking, and okay, you'll appreciate this, bro. Okay. Okay. Think about you're 2 years old, 2.5. You're going to school. We pack his lunch, but we put ice packs in there because they don't put it in a fridge. They don't, like heat it up, or it's just they take it out and they eat it. My mom just realized this week, and she's like, "Wait," she's like, they don't heat up his food. And I'm like, "No, mom, like he just takes it and she's like, merke daran, like she's like, he has to eat warm food. Like, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "Mom, he's 2. He doesn't know what the fuck he's eating. He's just gonna eat." And she's like, "I'll cook for him. I'll drop it off at lunchtime." What time is lunchtime? She's like, "I'll cook for him every day and drop it off."
What?
I'm like, "Mom, you're not dropping off food." Fresh cooked food. And she's serious. She's like, "I'm not gonna let him eat cold food."
He's such a spoiled little brat. What is wrong with her, man?
Such immigrant, like that is the epitome of immigrant life right there.
What is she making for him? That has to be so fresh.
Like Sadama, Dolma, like
What is she making? Fresh bonito nuts? I don't understand what she's doing.
she wants to literally make it, drop it off during lunchtime. I'm like, "Mom, are you fucking kid? Don't like stop."
What is she frying fresh chicken nuggets for?
So yeah, welcome to my life, man. Like that's
Man, they're so foreign, man. It's
yeah.
so great. It's so
She's like, "It's not a
awesome.
big deal. I'll just go drop it off." My dad's like, "Yeah, yeah." Well, I'm like, "No, no, no. You're not going like fucking midday. Like,
Leo, Steph, come on. He's just like all 2 years old and shit.
yeah, he
Doesn't
gets
know
like
what's happening.
cooked meal, fucking like utensils, like
Throwing it at people. Like doesn't even realize what's happening. Anyway, so yeah,
yeah. Sorry. What about you, man?
that is
How's
fantastic.
your week? I rambled there a little bit, but
That's all right. That's completely cool. I've been pretty good. I would say my parents are about to leave tomorrow for 3 week vacation. So it's not only just a vacation for them, but it's quite the vacation for me.
where are
Um,
they going?
they're going to, I think, just 2 countries. I think they're just going to go to Italy and Spain,
Mm.
but they've got quite the tour planned for both countries. Really, really excited for them because they're actually going. They took my recommendation about Mallorca, and they're going to Mallorca. Mallorca was fucking awesome, by
What
the
is
way.
that? I thought it was more party-ish, like young.
No, that's Ibiza.
Oh, okay.
And there's all walks of life in Ibiza, man. It's not even just so much young. Like, dude, you'll see so many people, and it's like Saint Tropez and in Monte Carlo because it's sort of like on the same coast. So you'll end up seeing a lot of the same yachts that like were on their way to like Monte Carlo or like Saint Tropez or whatever, but they stopped in Ibiza to like party. Like you'll see so many different faces there. Anyway, they're going there. They're going to Italy and Spain. Really excited for them. But we've been busy in the meantime because of Cater. Work has been really, really busy.
So it's
Um,
picked up. So you don't think maybe we should have a podcast episode about this? Recession, inflation. It's not really been affecting you guys.
it has, it has. We've had to increase our prices quite a bit, man.
Mm.
Um, and it's not showing any signs of letting up. Like we might have to increase prices again soon.
Do
And
people complain about that?
yeah, I was just about to mention, I was just about to talk about that. It's like, dude, you gotta like let people know. like, hey, like I know you're a good customer, and I know you're probably it wasn't even crossing your mind right now. I just wanted to let you know the reason why prices. I know you probably realize that like you're probably paying like twice the price right now, but like we give you usually 3/4 of a pound of meat.
Hmm.
Price of beef went up by nearly like $7. So like we're legit dealing with like an um absurd price increase.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short though, it's not to drag it along, but it's been quite an interesting couple weeks. Very, very busy. Trying to get back into the swing of my YouTube channel, but probably gonna take another month hiatus because of,
Wow.
work going the way that it has.
Wow. Another hiatus.
Not that I'm trying to, but like I'm
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
avoid it, but you know, just is what it is. Some things are taking more priority right now over that. What can I say? But anyway, diving into tonight's topic of discussion. Last time around, we were talking about marriage. That was pretty popular. I got a pretty decent reaction out of that podcast, posting it to my story and whatnot. I think a lot of people liked
Like positive or negative, like or mixed.
mixed. I would say that not so much, or a lot of people agreed, but there was a lot of agree and disagree on that. But I would say that people were happy to hear about what we were talking about. It's very sort of an interesting topic. Now, as far as what men should be asking for from a marriage, every man is different, obviously, but sort of, what a common everyday guy like me would want from a marriage, and somebody like you, Shant, who before marriage, maybe you had your mind on particular things that you were looking for versus now. I guess maybe we can just compare and contrast where our
Yeah.
minds.
I mean, yeah, I think that'd be great to like go through like what, I thought I wanted to like what I actually want now and what I have, right? Because I have what I want, luckily. So yeah, let's talk because I think it's important, man. It's funny because I always talk about this with Betty. Like we always talk about this that are so fucking lucky because this could have ended and it still can, right? It's we're 8 years in, but things happen, bro. Like you don't know what's going to happen in 10 years, 20 years, right? God willing, we'll still be together and happy and everything, but you never know, right? So we're so lucky because we didn't do any due diligence up front. I didn't have like this thing where it's like, oh, the values have to be like this, the principles have to be like this is what I expect from a woman. We never even had these conversations. Hey, how do you want to raise a kid? I was 26, 20, I don't know. I was like, whatever, man. Like, as long as he likes basketball, I'm cool, right? Whatever. But now we look back and we're like, we're stupid. We didn't even like have these discussions. We didn't have these like things to talk about and kind of like, hey, this is what I expect. This is what you expect. Conversations that are important. So I think for everyone listening, if you're not married or if you're dating, if you're engaged, or even if you are married and you haven't had that conversation, you should. And I think this is a great time to really ask yourself, like, what do I want? And then share it with your partner or future partner because it's important.
So at the
Thoughts?
time, did you even think that you knew exactly how you wanted to raise kids?
No.
I guess how does that discussion really go? And I don't know how I want to raise kids. I know that I'm not going to be like a very, very, easygoing dad. I'm going to probably be a kind of a tough to please, but not as big of a dick, I guess,
I think it
version of sort of what we're used to.
so I think it depends, right? So with kids, I thought I was going to be like the kind of hard, like not tough guy, tough dad. It's so hard with fucking Leo, man. The kid just is like, I don't know, dude. Like he just knows how to pull strings and get one over on you, and he's super nice about it, and then like laughs at you when he does it. Just he's just like, so it's like hard to be tough on him because he's so nice. And but maybe as he gets older, where he's more like, like 5, 6 years old, because now he's like 2. It's not gonna be hard on him. Like, oh, you didn't eat that broccoli good enough, like, like eat it better, you know. So as he gets older, probably, but I think it's more the like, are you more going to be old school, how our parents raised us, or you want to be more kind of like let them explore on their own, let them be? Are you going to be a little bit more in the middle? And it's hard to think about that when you're in your 20s, right? Because you could say whatever you want until you have kids. You have no clue, right? Either, because it's different. And I think you evolve, right? If I had kids at 25, I was going to be totally different, short-tempered, quick to snap. Now I'm a little older. Well, I am older, and I have more patience, right? So I guess what I would say would be a big difference if you and your wife aren't on the same page with kids. It would be probably more like you want to like discipline them. How you discipline them is going to be the biggest argument you're going to have with a spouse. But let's not talk too much about that. Let's talk about what a man wants or should want.
Sex. So, sex is probably going to be my most important thing going into the
Wow.
like
Going
security
right in.
marriage. Yeah. So the last couple relationships, I would say the sex hasn't been what I really like wanted. And
Okay. We're airing people out. Okay.
let me rephrase.
Yeah.
Sorry, look, I retract what I just said. Just let me
Hey,
rephrase.
producer, edit that part out. We don't have a producer.
Let me compose myself. Okay, so I knew that this would be a roadblock in the future, but it wasn't something that couldn't have been just easily solved. However, I do want to say that two of my previous serious relationships, this like the sex has been really, really good to the point where, I began to like overlook particular things because that was making up for a lot of it. So like when it's not good, it makes me nitpick at a lot of other things because it's like, all right, listen, like everybody has their role, I think, in a relationship. And when it's not marriage, like when there's no kids involved, when there's no fucking free health insurance involved, the girlfriend typically has very little role in a relationship pre-marriage. Like, what is she actually doing except for banging you and that's it? Like, what is she? She's not paying for dates. Oh, I give my hair done. Like, bitch, I get a fucking haircut every week. What are you talking about? I get my
Okay,
hair
you're
done.
going in right now. You are going in.
I'm just saying, like every single girlfriend is like, oh, like I get my hair. I got my hair. Men are so lucky they don't have to get their hair done for $200. It's like no, but I get my hair done every fucking week for 50. Same shit, you know. You don't have to wash your car for fucking $26 to get the wheel deal. You don't have to fucking valet anything. So what I'm saying is like, all right, at the very least, let the sex be decent. Like I'm gonna fuck you for the rest of my life. I really just don't want it to be a chore. The condom is coming up. Like I don't want to do any of this anymore, man. I just don't.
You woke up and chose violence today, I think.
I didn't. I'm not a violent person. Not. Not a violent person.
Is Andrew Tate rubbing off on you?
What's your thoughts on this? What do you think about what I just said? Do
I
you
don't
think
even know what you're saying, bro. You just threw a lot out there.
I made it very clear, didn't I?
Yeah, we're talking about marriage.
Sex is probably one of the most vital ingredients in a healthy marriage.
I think it's not one of the most, but I think it's um
I disagree. I think that in any of my relationships, one of the key indicators of the long-term outlook has been the sex.
well, I could speak for the guy who's married. Um I'm gonna throw that card at you.
Yeah, fine.
Uh it's I'm not saying it's not important. It's definitely important. Um I hate to even I don't want to rank, right? Because that just kind of like devalues things. I think it's up there, but it's not yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's important. It's definitely important, but I think there's bigger issues, right? Um I think if things go bad, right? Um
Well, you
so
definitely have your um particular interests in the woman also. Like you look at Betty in a different way than a lot of people look at their wives. And one of the things that Betty provides for you is she's your source of motivation.
yeah. So my point number, I think my first point, which I had written down here, which is to that, is someone who supports you, right? So literally, I think it was Friday. I had a lot of just like 3, 4 bad things happen with like some clients, leads, you know, lost a potential amount of really substantial amount of money, right? Our we've been spending a lot. Our bank accounts have dwindled, right? We have a lot of upcoming big expenses, and I was kind of freaking out, like a little stressed, right? And I think in that time, you know, a woman's value, the wife's value is super important, not only then, but stands out there because she could easily wallow in my pity with me, right? She could go negative on me, right? She could tell me like, you know, it's like, you know, like when a boxer is about to get into the ring and the like you've seen this in movies or something, the girls like, oh, but what if you get hurt? You know, like it's like I don't want to fucking think about that right now. I'm about to go fight someone. Like, you know, I don't want to think about it. So it's, you know, it's that skill set. And Betty, she was just like, hey, you've been through this before. We've been through this. We're gonna get through it. You're gonna figure it out. You know what to do. And she's like, let's talk it through. What are your next steps? You know, like what are we gonna do? What are you gonna, you know, let's figure this out. And she calmed me down, supported me, and was like, you know, pushed through with some, you know, really good motivation. So a woman who supports you in that aspect. And then also when I got into real estate, right, originally, she could have been like, hey, listen, like you've never done sales, you don't know anything, you're not that bright, like you know, like you're gonna get into this industry. Like, what do you, she was just like, okay, hey, try it out. Like, if you feel that's what you want, like go for it, go hard. You know, not like try it, but if you don't, it doesn't work out, what's your plan? You know, like that kind of fucks with you too. So someone who supports you, to me, it's been very important. I didn't think about this before I got married, but now that I've been married for 8 years, dude, that has been the biggest thing that's helped me advance in my career.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, so I guess similar to you, I have been, I guess, in a position where I've always not gotten that much help or support
Mm.
really from anybody. I've always been told like, not a good idea, or like, why do you want to do that? Or like, it's never been like, oh, I want to do body shop, but like, no, you should go and do this and this and this and make somebody else happy. So I've never actually had that. to need that as much, I think. And I'm happy that you didn't get robbed of that
Yeah.
very early on. Um, but similarly to yours, intellectual stimulation.
Mm,
So it's very difficult. I remember saying this verbatim in another episode. I was talking about when a relationship is lacking depth, when a
yeah.
conversation is lacking depth, it's very, very difficult to connect with the person. If you're just going to be talking about vacationing places and expenses.
Food, dinner,
Right.
kids.
Like, and that's even okay too, but as long as like if we're gonna be talking about expensive shit or like materialistic shit, at least know about it. Tell me about like the French food that we're about to eat, or like tell me
Yeah.
about the country that you want to go and visit. What's so great about the
Yeah.
country that you want to go? I genuinely appreciate intellectual stimulation of some sort, even if it's very modern uh intellectualism.
You're right. That's important, man. Like I never thought of that, but yeah, that is important. So for you, what does that mean, right? Okay, like is it same topics that you're into? Like tell me a little bit about that.
In 1 second, sorry, my sound went out for a second. What did you say?
So what does that mean to you? Like, because I agree, but is that more like the same topics you're into, or is it you want to learn about stuff they're into and it's just like on a deeper level? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, no, no, no. It's more of like more of an all-encompassing thing. It's sort of like you're into your own shit and you like to tell me about things that you're into and let me in on your world, or have something interesting to bring to the table alongside what I'm bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just be the face that I'm looking at when I come home from our hard day's work. Also be an interesting person at the table.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. And that's obviously that's vice versa, right? Don't be a guy who's just comes home and says nothing, right? Like that goes both ways. So like it's interesting and open mindedness. That I think that's a person who's usually open minded. So, um, me and Betty had a long debate conversation the other day. So this is going to offend a lot of people when I say this. Um, I brought up Andrew Tate to her. Okay, I was like, "Hey, babe, what are your thoughts on Andrew Tate?" She's like, "Oh, the guy, I heard he's an idiot and sexist." I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "Let's watch his podcast." He did it with Patrick Red David, and she's like, "Okay." See, so open minded, right? It's very important when you're intellectual. You're open minded. You're not shut off to like, "Oh, I gotta." He's a terrible human. We sat there, we watched it, not the whole thing, but a good amount, like an hour. And she's like, "Wow, he makes a lot of good points." And and then we debated one thing about, um, would you want a woman? Like I said to her, I was like, if our house was on fire and our kids are inside, and then one firefighter could run in, it was the guy, it was a female and a male. Who would you rather go in? And she's like, whoever, I don't care. I'm like, stop. And we had that conversation for a good, but it was like a really good, healthy conversation. She's like, no, I think this. I'm like, I think that. And it's not just, well, like if someone doesn't have intellect, it's that conversation just becomes a shouting match, right? Instead of like, hey, I think this, you think that, right? Like, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to be able to have an argument or a conversation with somebody that's not going to just get in their emotions. They're not going
Yep.
to argue with you with your emotions.
Yep. Perfect.
Even if all you're doing is just reasoning, but reason on important stuff with emotion. That just asking for a disaster. I get it. Your relationship should revolve around emotion and trust. But your communication, if you guys are talking about something that is unrelated, you guys are talking about something intellectual, or you guys are talking about raising kids, or you guys are talking about family matters, that should be done based off of reasoning skills.
Yeah, not emotions.
Right. And if somebody's constantly in their emotions, it makes it very, very hard to, I guess, have that relationship because you're
And
constantly worried about somebody going off the fucking deep end.
and breaking news for some of you, nowadays, there's a lot more men in their emotions. And you guys need to handle that a little bit better, my opinion. I see that shit. Just reel it in, guys. Okay? Stop being in your feelings so much. Am I wrong? Have you noticed that?
I feel like I'm being attacked. Listen, so yeah.
Not you.
You sure?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah.
The next point. Go on to the next point.
Next point for me, for all the emotional men out there. So what a guy should want, this is a should want, and because what I've experienced, and it is, and okay, I know a lot of people here listening are like, I always talk positively about my marriage. Well, okay, newsflash, because I'm not going to shit on my marriage. Okay, and second, we have a really good relationship. It's not perfect. We do fight. We do argue, but we still respect each other, and we figure it out. We move on. Okay, so just so everyone knows, because I know I always talk positively, and it could make a lot of you pissed for some reason. I don't know, but go get a better relationship. I don't know what to tell you. So having a secure woman, okay, someone who's secure in themselves, because there's nothing more annoying, in my opinion, than an insecure woman who is jealous, always worried about what they look like, and not like, so Betty always presents herself. She looks good. She's always out there, like, but it's never like, oh my God, you're not saying anything. You don't say I'm pretty. You don't say, like, it's just never insecurity. Does that make sense? Like, insecurity is such an unattractive trait in my, and that goes for both men and women, but it's so unattractive. It's so like just such a turn off. And I think it's such an immature thing where if you have an ounce of that, if you ever see an ounce of that, just run, because it doesn't get better.
Oh, so the beginning, if it's there, it's not going to be any better after?
Yeah. Yeah. That's my personal opinion. Betty's never had any insecurities. I never had. We trust each other. There's never been, and it's never because like, so it's funny because I've talked about this with Betty, and I was like, hey, how come you've never like gotten jealous or what? She's like, because you'd be an idiot to do anything. And she's like, if you did, then you're out. Like, it's just, she's like you're an idiot if you do. Like, what am I gonna like hound you every day? Like, if you do something stupid, you're out. You're fired. Right. That's the kind of,
I get shit for deleting my messages.
She deletes her messages all the time.
Very, 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 that's very cool. You got a cool wife, basically.
Well, it's not cool. It's she's secure in herself.
How did she get so secure?
She knows her worth. How? I don't know. Because, all her sisters are different. I think any siblings are all different, right? Me and my brother are different. You and your brother are different, right? That is something she's always had, where she just feels very secure and is like, if you're going to do something stupid to her, she's not going to like, she's going to be, all right, I'm out. Like, I'm not here.
Does that scare you a little bit?
No, because I know I'm not going to mess that up. And I mean, in the beginning, it would be a lot quicker. You're out. Right now, it'd be a different, like, hey, we got to have a conversation. It's not, like it's kids involved and shit. But doesn't scare me because I feel the same. Like we're both like, uh, it's we're very secure in ourselves, right? Like there's never been any jealousy, trust issues. I do get flack sometimes because like I stare, girls sometimes I check out, like it's just habit, right? I'm like, it's 37 years of experience, like, habit. And she's like, yeah, it just looks stupid when you do it. Like, she's like, especially when you're with me, she's like, you look like an idiot. I was like, all right. She's literally telling me this the other day. She's like, I noticed it. I'm like, I know, I try not to. She's like, I know, but she's like, you just look like an idiot. You make me look like an idiot. Like, it wasn't even an argument. It was just like, I was like, all right, you're right. Like, all right.
Fucking men don't change, man. Men just
But I got her
so
point, and I respect her point. It was more about like how it makes her look, and and so yeah.
doesn't try to join me in everything I do and gives me my own time to do my own shit.
So space.
Not even just space, but if I'm trying to like just like I'm going to the gym. I don't need you to come and try to like act. Would you want to go together? I don't know. I'm doing to get the fuck out. Just get away from you. Um or like if I want to go on a drive at nighttime, just fucking by myself. I don't need you to like have to like come with me. I don't know what it is, man. Like, listen, like I want to do this, but it's just like you know me. I've always been like the
Yeah. That's your MO.
I'm just,
Do you think it's more? No, that's just. I think you're like that with your friends too, right? Like it's just your personality, right?
yeah, bro. Like I get the whole introvert thing. Like people get drained by being around other people. It's not even just so much that it's sort of how I compartmentalize my thoughts is when I'm alone. If there's just too much stimulation, it's very, very difficult for me to even think straight. Like if I'm around too many people or if I'm around the person, just
Makes sense. I think it's just communicating that though would, upfront to someone would probably be, and if they don't understand, then that's kind of on them. But then communicating that, like, hey, sometimes I just need my own time to think, and it's be like, it's not an escape from the relationship, it's an escape from all the noise in my mind. Makes sense.
you're gonna think I'm shallow for the next one. Let me know what yours is.
I want to hear the shallow. Let's hear it.
I needed to cook Armenian stuff at a decent amount, at a decent rate, like at least like once or twice a week. Armenian, Middle Eastern food, even if she's not Armenian or Middle Eastern, like I need it done. Um, to be quite
I
frank,
mean,
I kind of need her to be a decent cook in general because I can't eat shit.
yeah, I mean, that's a fair one, right? So for me, I thought that I cared. Me and Betty, we don't eat any Armenian food at home. Okay, that's just so Patrick Bet David talks about this. He married just an American white woman or whatever, and he's like the only requirement he had is they had to be able to cook Middle Eastern food, and she does, right? She did, right? So I get that, especially like you own a restaurant, a Middle Eastern restaurant. Food's important to you. I don't think that's shallow. I think that's fair, right? For me, it's not a big deal because we don't cook Armenian food at home. And yeah, but I get it.
To be honest with you, it's not even just so much the cooking the Armenian food of the Middle East, right? I just need the person to be a foodie in general. Like I
Mm,
just don't like I've never tried that. No, I want to try it. Like it's just like it makes eating so much harder when the
yeah.
person doesn't like food.
Yeah, I used to actually have an argument with Betty when we first like started going out, like engaged and stuff. And I was, I'm a big pizza guy, like pizza, like I'm a fucking pizza snob, right? And I take her to a sick place in New York for pizza, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's good." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's better than." She's like, "No, like all pizza's the same." Like I still make fun of her about this. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you just say all pizza's the same? Like I've like I literally got mad at her that she
Yeah,
said
you're
that.
being disrespectful.
Yeah. You need to watch your tone. Get out. Just come back.
Got it. You shut up.
So that actually bothered me so much when she said that. And I had to like convince her, like, no, it's not all the same. Like, no, we need to fix this. You need to reboot that thought.
To show her some respect. That's what you
Yeah.
need to do.
She realizes now after going to Italy and stuff that all pizza is the same. But I get it. A foodie, you're into food. That's one of your passions. Yeah, that's so for me, another one, and this is why I like one of the things that I really loved about Betty is I want you should want a good positive energy, like someone who has positive flowing energy. Like you can just feel their positive energy, but can be a little bit of a bitch if needed. Like just a little, because you don't want someone who's just too nice and it just gets walked over, right? That's not, like we've had this conversation about Mr. Nice Guy being a nice guy. Same for, I think, your wife. Like you don't want someone who's just too nice and gets walked over, right? You want someone really nice, positive, and then with a little bit of, a little bit of attitude in them.
Very nice. Yeah, see what I did there. So yeah, um, it's actually really weird because it's like you can deal with a little bit of um not dishonesty, but shyness or a woman sort of being a little bit cold at times.
Mm.
You deal with it a little bit. But when it's coming from a place of a lot of undealt with psychological issues, I think that depending on the type of person you are, it can make for a very, very rocky marriage. So I don't want my wife to have her own set of crazy psychological issues. I
Or at
prefer
least,
not.
I think I know, because that was kind of my next point. I think what you're they could have it, but they're not living in it, right? Because someone could have, so like Betty's been through a lot of shit growing up, man, and has experienced a lot of negative stuff in her life. And one of the biggest turnoffs to me would be if she's a victim, plays the victim card, right? Um, like a lot of the shit you don't even know about because she just doesn't like, and it's not like she bottles it in and is like a mess, right? And it just hides it. It happened. It's over. She's alive, right? The world didn't end. And she's like, I move on, right? So basically, what you're trying to say and what I'm trying to say is a strong woman. And right, does that make, because like you could go through shit, you can still be strong about it, right?
Yeah. Or it could just completely break you and you'll never actually recover from it.
Yeah, and you're using that for the rest of your life about how life is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like anything triggers your memory, which is like, all right, like you feel bad saying it's like, I'm sorry you had a shitty experience in your lifetime, but like it's not something that I constantly need to be diffusing you out of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need, because I have my own shit I'm diffusing myself out of.
Yeah.
So two people having the same sort of issue is
Yeah, not a good match.
yeah, not a good match. Not a good match. So like at the very minimum, I think that it's definitely a good thing to be with somebody who you're not worried so much about you guys getting caught in each other's sort of crossfire.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. My next one, this is a big one. It's someone who's not always in fucking drama. You know what I'm talking
Why
about,
do you
right?
think that?
Just like those even guys, like more girls though, I would say, like are just they're always in some drama. Like, oh, at work today, this happened, and there's some drama, and there's this. Like, it's like, all right, bro, like it's tiring. Like the thing I love about me and Betty are similar to this. We don't have any fucking drama. We don't talk about drama, but we love to hear about other people and their drama. Like we love that shit. If she hears drama, she can't wait to come home and be like, "Do you know about these idiots that are in some drama right now?" Like there's nothing brings us closer together as a couple is when there's people are going through drama that we know and we just come together and just talk shit about it.
I love that.
It is our favorite thing to do, bro. Like if someone's going through some shit, we come home and we're like just talking about it.
You hear?
Yeah. Hey, grab a
That's
glass of
great.
wine and come meet me in the living room. We gotta talk about some shit.
Oh man. So yeah, I the last one was 3 to 4 kids.
That's what you want.
Yeah, 3 to 4 kids. You're gonna be able to
Why?
handle it.
Why?
Why do I want 3 or 4 kids? Just in case 3 of them are girls. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Just how many I
People are
want.
people are gonna you're gonna get canceled, bro. You're are you just like hoping our podcast gets canceled? So you're just like, all right, I'm done.
No, I'm not doing it for that. How would you ever say that? Putting in all this effort and time. It's 11 p.m. here. I have to wake up
Yeah,
early.
3 hours.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. So 3 or 4 kids.
Yeah. What do you think that's a hard ask?
No, I mean, if that's what you want, I mean, I would like some context behind it. If it's like, so
I want them to, you know how like some siblings just don't get along?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen
So you
with
just like
any,
if one of them like they don't get along, they have another.
if they have another, they have somebody to call, like, or like it's like another set of eyes.
Hey, like
Like,
you two are fucking up here. Like,
yo, you two stay here. I'm gonna take them to watch the stove.
yeah,
Like I don't care so much about business. Like, I don't even want any of my kids. Like when I have kids, bro, I don't want them even knowing I have a store. Just
It's like, I'm going to work.
yeah, like all of you are becoming doctors. Nobody's getting involved in the family business. Go fuck yourselves. It's not cute. It's not cute at all.
It's not. It's a lot of stress.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yo, which is actually really, really weird because I've been the least stressed in a long time at work. Just straight now that you say that, it just dawned on me, man. I haven't been this. I've been not picking up the phone at times because I was just like, don't need it.
Fuck them.
Don't need the stress.
Fuck them.
My dad's running in. Why is nobody picking up the fucking phone? And I'm just like, fuck him, Bob. We don't need that. We don't need that in our life right now. No, it's your mom.
You pick up, you're like, we're closed. Hang up.
We have an automated message. If we don't pick up, we're really busy. And we really appreciate if you put your order in online. Thank you.
So, what do you think has changed? Because I think I have some ideas, but what do you think has changed that you're not? Because you used to be stressed.
I think I just stopped giving a fuck. about the outcome. Like, oh, if you don't pick up the phone, then that means that you're gonna either piss off a customer or you're gonna miss a very, very important order, or your coworkers are gonna get upset that they had to rush to the phone, or like your dad's gonna get pissed off in the back that he had to storm out of the walk-in fridge to get it. Just don't even give a fuck anymore, man. One of my compulsions, one of my OCD compulsions is to check everything, to check
Yeah,
who just walked in, to check to see who's at the door, check to see if anybody came in while I was.
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. So I just stopped checking. Stop checking altogether.
So I think it's a lot of the stuff you've been working on, though. I think that's what. So like, you quit smoking, you sleep good, you exercise, you eat good, you listen to a lot of positive things, you read. I mean, that shit helps, bro.
So yeah, I've been trying
Days
to
off,
stress. Huh?
take days off now.
Yeah. Another thing was like, oh, I used to stress so much about doing things perfectly. I like fuck up on purpose sometimes. It's been fun. It's been a fun last couple of months. It really has. Um,
Your dad's gonna come back from vacation. You're just like, you had the close sign for like a week. You're just like, yeah, dad, just tired.
I had your house cleaned while you guys were gone. It's filthy over there, man. You guys aren't dusting the bottom of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had called the cleaner. I ended up banging her in your guys' bedroom. We cleaned it after. So yeah, no, anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah, 3 to 4 kids, man. I want them to have some options. Like right now, my Maria has 3 boys. Like, bro, they're fucking diesel ass boys.
Yeah.
Like Leo would have a hard time beating up Mahir.
How old is he?
Mahir, 5 now.
He
But
likes.
like I'm talking about apples to apples, size wise. Mahir is a tough fuck.
Okay. I'd like to see that fight happen one day.
And then the other one that was just born, he's like
Tank. He's
he
gonna be
was
a tank.
born 40 pounds. I'll show you a picture after. But like we have some just like heavy ass genetics in our
Yeah.
family.
Just thick.
Big people.
Yeah,
Anyway,
not big, tall, just like
wide and
yeah,
just thick.
yeah. But no,
Yeah.
I think and yeah, people are gonna, you know, I don't know. There's so many people that are just so get offended by everything. I think if you're listening to this and if you got offended, you probably stopped listening already, but which is fine. Um, but if you are getting offended, you're like, oh, that's fucked up. This is an episode on what we want, right? So we could do an episode on what women want, and you could be totally fucked up. I don't care. If that's what you want, that's what you want, right? Like there's nothing like
I might not marry you, but
yeah. Like if a man wants a woman who's submissive and is a house person, and if the woman wants that, it is what it is. Like you can't just because you want something different doesn't mean you have to have everyone want what you want. This is fucking America. Freedom to do whatever the fuck you want. So if someone wants it, if Adi wants it, his relationship this way, that's how he wants it. And guess what? If a woman doesn't want that, they don't have to marry him. Next. Am I
bad
wrong for
time to
saying?
bring up prenups. Anyways, no, I didn't say that. So it's just keep that out of this discussion.
Yeah. Next time.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very simple. I just want food,
3
sex,
kids.
3 to 4 kids.
Just let Adi drive around a little bit. Like
Yeah, just let me just don't ask about the speeding tickets. Like it's not like you're paying for them anyway. I didn't even mention health insurance. Like, you don't even need to provide that at this point. It's okay. Like, I
Got
got
it.
it. Yeah. Like, I'm just perfectly fine accepting. Just give me the sex and the food. I'll take care of the health insurance. But if you don't have those two,
And no drama. Don't come with no drama.
Sean hates drama
Dude.
unless it's somebody else's.
Yeah, I love other people's dramas. Just don't bring your shit into my.
Oh, man. Good stuff. All right. Well,
All right,
that
well,
was a great list, Sean.
yeah, we won't be on next week. I think we might if we could do Wednesday night, but if not, we'll be on the week after. And in the next few weeks, we may have a special guest, hopefully,
Yeah. Looking forward to a couple
Yeah.
people that,
with the new name of the podcast. Hopefully, we're still on, and yeah,
every ending is a new beginning, Sean.
whatever that means. I don't know. Okay.
Good night, Sean.
Good night, everyone.